Howdy Earthlings, you are watching Alien Cowboy Cinema, where I review movies. I recently saw The Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling and one of the most beautiful British actresses of all time, Hannah Waddingham.
I'm ready to meet the gods.
I was shocked to learn that the first movie I ever saw with Ryan Gosling in it was actually this.
I don't even have to ask, but I will.
Of course, the romantic lead played opposite of Ryan Gosling's character is actually played by Emily Blunt.
I could have used you on my team a couple months ago.
Yeah, I could help poll test every word that comes out of your mouth before you say it.
The Fall Guy was actually a really old television show, is an action comedy that is paying tribute to all the people who performed stunts in movies and television throughout the decades. The plot is that a stuntman is trying to find the movie star that is in his ex-girlfriend's directorial debut film.
Just walk away from the car and we can forget about this.
As it might have been somewhat predictable, the character played by Gosling is roped into a situation that is somewhat conspiratorial. Well, it's very conspiratorial. I loved Ryan Gosling performances in Drive and also Barbie. And here he plays the lead quite brilliantly as usual. This movie may have failed at the box office, but I feel it has succeeded as an action comedy, with a little bit of romance as well. As for the rest of the ensemble cast, I feel they did a fantastic job in their supportive roles. The Fall Guy gets pretty clever at times, sometimes even very meta in my opinion, providing commentary about the movie industry in general. It also feels like it is parodying the Dune film franchise at times. Sometimes it felt like it was tonally conflicting, but for the most part, it was very much poking fun at itself. Now, in being an action comedy, you got to have good jokes, you have to have good action sequences. This movie succeeds most of the time. Even some of the action sequences are comical at times. The director of The Fall Guy has quite a few movies under his belt. I believe I have only seen one other movie that he directed, but it makes me very curious to see his other movies after seeing how good The Fall Guy turned out. The other writer on this film has been heavily involved with at least one other movie that I know I've seen. I noticed with the soundtrack as well, I felt it was very good. A lot of the music chosen was very appropriate, whether it would be pop music at times or sometimes more orchestral sounding stuff. It always seemed to fit with the movie. Now you have Emily Blunt from Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling from Barbie, combining their Barbenheimer forces to hopefully create some blockbuster magic. And while they do create magic, unfortunately the movie was not much of a blockbuster. This movie just seems like another action comedy that Ryan Gosling was in, starring opposite Russell Crowe. It gives me that same kind of feeling. It also reminded me somewhat of The Big Lebowski at times. You have a goofy character who is a little bit in over their heads. The Fall Guy feels similar in that. It is just a very good movie that seems like it will go underappreciated indefinitely. I don't know. So as I weigh a bunch of the movies that I've seen over the weeks, I have to say that The Fall Guy so far is the third best film that I have seen in theaters for the year 2024. I give it a rating of 3.5 UFOs out of 5, meaning it is a very good movie. It is not a great movie, it's not excellent, it's not a masterpiece, but it's very good. If you have very good movies in theaters that do not perform well at the box office, then we might not see movies like this coming to theaters more often. Maybe movies like this are more likely to be licensed out to streaming apps like Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Paramount Plus, whatever. Again, you have brilliant acting performances turned in. You have brilliant action sequences, a lot of funny jokes, great soundtrack. But ultimately, there were a few times where I felt bored. I felt like the movie was missing something. It's almost like I was taken out of the movie experience at times. That is where I feel The Fall Guy falls short at times, huh? I'm so lonely. The director himself was a former stuntman, and as I said, he's directed quite a few films. I'm now more curious to see Bullet Train, and also I think it was called Atomic Blonde. I'd like to see these movies and see how they measure up to The Fall Guy as well. In the year 2024, so far the best movies I've seen in theaters are Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I guess The Fall Guy is third place, if not fourth place. I might be forgetting something. Upcoming movies I'm looking forward to seeing is, I think it's called The Exorcist with Russell Crowe. There's also The Bike Riders with Tom Hardy and Austin Butler. There's also A Quiet Place prequel, I think it's called A Quiet Place Day One, starring my girlfriend Lupita. It also has that actor, I think his name Joseph Quinn. He had a breakout performance in Stranger Things. Also looking forward to a horror movie called Long Legs. And then there was another horror movie trailer I saw recently for a movie called Cuckoo that looks like it could be pretty promising. Thank you so much for watching Alien Cowboy Cinema, where I review movies that I saw on cheap matinee Tuesdays, and I publish every Wednesday night around 7:30 Central Time. Please stay tuned for more, as I intend to release more videos each week.